Ukraine address at the beginning of last month, in which he promised he was going to do to Vladimir Putin what he did to Corn Pop. He was going to beat him with a chain and destroy the Russian economy and crash the ruble. Watch.
We're cutting off Russia's largest banks in the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble, making Putin's $630 billion war fund worthless. We're choking Russia's access. The ruble has already lost 30% of its value. The Russian stock market has lost 40% of its value, and trading remains suspended. The Russian economy is reeling.
So it would have been nice if Biden said, I'm going to get Russian troops out of Ukraine, and that'll help everybody. And everybody, including us, would have applauded. But he can't do that. So instead, he's going to destroy Russia's economy. But he couldn't do that even. It turns out the Russian economy is based on commodities. It's not based on finance. It's not like our economy. Biden's never had a real job, so he did not know the difference. But it turns out the ruble has bounced back. In fact, it's now slightly more valuable than it was on the day that Russia invaded Ukraine. The economic situation in the United States, by contrast, is deteriorating fast. Here's Joe Biden's publicist today announcing that inflation is about to get worse, and Vladimir Putin did it.
So because of the actions we've taken to address the Putin price hike, we are in a better place than we were last month. But we expect March CPI headline inflation to be extraordinarily elevated due to Putin's price hike.
Putin's price hike. So I guess the question is, how much dumb propaganda do they think we're going to believe? To think it's Putin's price hike, you'd have to be like a moron. Our central bank has made the dollar near worthless, and they've been doing this for more than a decade. So, like, if you think it's Putin's price hike, I guess they expect we do think that. But the bottom line is, Russia invades Ukraine. It's appalling. Everyone agrees. But our response to it, does it hurt Putin? No. It hurts the United States. We're the real victim here. Clint Ehrlich called this early. He's a Russia policy expert, a clear-thinking one, and we're happy to have him join us. Clint, thanks so much for coming on. I guess, you know, the state of the American economy is something that most people take for granted. Nobody ever talks about it in Washington because they all have guaranteed jobs. But it seems like we're in a much more perilous place than we were before Russia invaded Ukraine. And, like, who saw that coming?
What we're seeing are the results of policies that the Biden administration promoted before the invasion, waging war on our domestic energy industry,
yes.
Having the lockdowns that disrupted supply chains. And now that we're seeing the fruits of those efforts, they're trying to blame them on Russia because they won't take responsibility for the harm that they've done to our economy through their policies.
Well, that's exactly right. And then to see, I mean, look, I'm skeptical of all sanctions against any country because they don't seem to work very well. They clearly didn't work in Cuba for 60 years. So, like, tell me why we should have sanctions again. But here was Biden saying, well, I crashed the Russian economy, and the ruble is back to a higher point versus the dollar than it was on the day of the invasion. Like, what am I supposed to think of that?
Well, the irony is they're trying to pretend now that the goal of sanctions was not to crash the value of the ruble, but you can see those words coming out of the president's mouth. That was the goal because they wanted to stop Russia from being able to wage war by undermining political support within Russia among the Russian people. And they failed to do that. And now they're pretending that, well, it's not really that valuable because Russia's been taking measures to prop up the value of its currency. Well, newsflash, Russia was always going to do that. You can't complain that Russia doesn't play by the rules when you're waging economic warfare against them. And so they have to believe that we're stupid in order to think that the value that we see, the value that is shoring up Russia's economy today, is something fake that doesn't exist.
Well, yeah. And so the question, again, just to bottom line is, what is the United, I'm an American, no other passport. I think it's fair to ask, what's the effect on my country, your country, the United States of America? Have we benefited in any way from the response to this invasion?
Well, the idea was that President Biden asked the American people to make an economic sacrifice in order to stop the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And that sacrifice has been made, but the results simply aren't there. Russia remains able to wage war, and so the question is, what was the point? Why did we do it? Well,
that's exactly right. Russia's still there. It's like the COVID numbers. Oh, more people died under the Biden administration than under Trump, so tell me how this is working. Like, the dumb questions are the right ones. You're not dumb, but you ask good questions, and I appreciate it. Clint Ehrlich, thank you.
Thank you, Tucker.